So today we get this opportunity to look at a new month. Here we are, August 1st, 2021. Just breathe that in, that we are already beginning the month of August 2021. And as we start a new month, it's time for a tune-up. It's time for a tune-up, and that is the talk title for today as we continue our theme of the year, Timeless Wisdom, Evolutionary Vision. And for August, it is a pause for guidance. And I love that our practitioner, Jan Hartman, began the pause for guidance, that we actually took time out of our morning collectively as a community, as a beloved community, as a global community, to pause for guidance, to take that moment in time to recognize the one power, the one presence, the one life that is God, that is spirit, that is source, that is prana, the Atman present, whatever it is that we call it, that we call it, that we recognize it, that we recognize that it is all powerful, everywhere present, all knowing, and that we also recognize that it is our life. And in that pause for guidance, that is where we begin to get our tune-up or our spiritual maintenance. And I want to talk to us a little bit about our spiritual maintenance, because our spiritual maintenance and our daily being is contingent upon our spiritual maintenance. If we're allowing our house to get dusty and dirty, we need a tune-up, a cleanup, a maintenance. We need to clear away the dust, the dirt, the grime, the things that have built up. I'm using a lot of analogies so that if you identify with a car, you know about the tune-up. If you identify with housekeeping, you can identify there. However, what I am saying is that we tend to forget. I love the sign language for forget. We tend to forget to pause for guidance, to engage in the spiritual practice. All of a sudden, life gets so good because we've been doing this. We've been living this. We know that our life is the life of God. And we go about our and then we don't do the things necessary to maintain and to actually grow and evolve our spiritual awareness and consciousness. And what happens is that we begin to have the dust, the dirt, the oil, all of the grime of the day, of the weeks, of the months get us and get on us so tough that we begin to forget who we are. I don't know about you, but I know that it has happened for me, and that who I have been and who I have been pretending to be are two different things. Oh yeah, everything is good. Oh yeah, everything is wonderful. And yet, when I am not engaging in my spiritual practice, in other words, as the Buddhists call it, chanting and reminding ourselves, I love it that when Buddhists chant to the Gehunzen, it is considered shining and polishing the mirror, that is their reflection, and that in that activity of chanting, It is the polishing of the mirror so that they are seeing their reflection clearly and not seeing it like a circus mirror that is warped and that is not telling them or showing them the true identity. Do you remember and do you know who you really are? And how is it that sometimes we lie to ourselves and we tell ourselves that everything is okay because we think that this science of mind philosophy and that the science of mind teaching is about positive thinking. And if I just positive think my way out of this, then everything's going to be okay. And I'm here to remind us that it's not about positive thinking, that it's not about the spiritual bypass. It's not about saying that everything is okay when the crap is hitting the fan. It is about standing in the truth and knowing that even when things are not going my way, that even when things are happening and they're feeling like they're piling up, that even in the face of all of that, as I tell the truth, that here's what I am experiencing, yet this is who I know myself to be or who I am reminding myself that I am, that those two things can be totally different, and that even in the face of that, I can experience a life that I am creating for myself that is beyond what I have ever known before. You see, this month, it's time for our tune-up, that personal tune-up, meaning aligning and realigning my mind with the truth. And what is the truth? The truth is that there's a power and presence and a life, and that life has created everything out of itself. Therefore, all life is the life of God. And that if you're breathing and living and hearing and within the sound of my voice, that you are the unique and unrepeatable way that God shows up in human form. And that to the degree in which I remind myself that this is my truth in the face of disagreement, in the face of health challenges, in the face of parking challenges, in the face of the Delta variant, in the face of us not meeting, in the face of wars and rumors and reports of wars, to the degree in which I remind myself that this is the truth of who I am and that this is the truth for each and every one of us, in the face of disagreement, it is to that degree that I am actually living in the reality of this now moment. That I am aligning myself with the one power, one presence, one life that is greater than all of it. And some of us might go, yeah, sunshine, but you don't know my life. Or I'm reaching what might be called my golden years, or my body is not acting the way I need it to, and I'm getting depressed, I'm getting anxious, I'm over here, future tripping about things, where I'm going to end up, what's going to happen. And I get it. I get that. I know about that. I know about addiction. I know about hard times. I know about future tripping or dwelling in the past. I know about body aches. I know about pain, beloveds. And if that is what the physical and human experience is, what I am here to share with you is that this is the human experience. But remember that you are more than that. Remember that what is living you is life itself, and that is your secret superpower. I laugh at the Marvel movies because everybody wants to be the superhero and have this superpower, and yet here we are in real life and we have this superpower. This superpower is life itself. It is right where we are. We don't have to climb the mountaintop or go to the deep deep bottom of the deep blue sea to get it. It is right where we are. And the journey is so at hand. The journey inward is right where we are. It is about recognizing this power and this presence and training our brain to recognize and to remind ourselves of the truth of who we are. Ernest Holmes says that whatever you identify yourself with, you become like. And whatever you resist, you also become like. Now, what is what? What? In this thing called you, he writes that whatever you identify yourself with, you become. And whatever you resist, you also become. So how is that possible? Well, if I am only ever identifying myself as this fallible human, this human who makes mistakes, who's stupid, who just doesn't, that's what I become. Why? Because that's my focus. Oh, and by the way, whatever I resist, oh, I'm not that. That I'm not that. I'm not like those people. Well, guess what? My focus is on not being that. So as I resist that, I also become that because my attention is there. So where is your attention? Where is your attention, and what are you paying attention to? What is occupying your time and your mind? Because that which occupies your time and your mind is what you become. So, so many times we think we are our human identities: male, female, white, black, Mexican, Latino, Asian, short, tall, fat, skinny. We think, rich, poor, middle class. We think we are our identities. Well, in California, as in many states now, they're doing this real ID. Right? And in your real ID, it's your identification card, and it's got all your demographics on it, where you live, all of that good stuff. Phooey. That is not your real ID, beloveds. Your real ID, your real identification is that you are the unique, unrepeatable, powerful way that God, that life, that spirit shows up in human form as human. So your life essence, that is the superpower. That is the power and presence. That is who you are. And because you are wearing this flesh suit that has this beautiful color, these beautiful eyes, and the beautiful shape of your face, and the beautiful shape of your body, and all of the things that you, quote unquote, the labels that identify you, those are just the accessories, the accoutrements that make you beautiful and great. But it is, believe me, it is not who you really are. Who you really are is God expressing in, through, and as these beautiful bodies. And these beautiful bodies, oh, by the way, have a brain. And sometimes for many of us, we only identify with our brain and with our education and what degrees we have, or how much we've studied, or how much we can quote and spew off. And we think that we're all of that in a bag of chips. But guess what? If we think we're all of that in a bag of chips, that's really what we are. All of that and a bag of chips. But would you rather be all that in a bag of chips, or the unique, unrepeatable way that God shows up? Would you rather be and live from that place of power, of peace, of freedom. And that freedom comes at a price. And what happens is that when we begin to only identify as our human self, we need that tune-up. We need that housekeeping service to come in and get all the oil and the grease and the grime off of the stove because we've been cooking on it for so long. That's what I'm talking about. Is that whatever it is that we're resisting or whatever it is that we're identifying with, we become. And so if you're not enjoying your life in this current moment, look at where you have been investing your attention. Now we're becoming investors. Now we're talking. I like investing. Where am I investing my attention? Because my attention is the most valuable thing that I have. And if I'm investing my attention in things that I am becoming that no longer serve me or don't feel good, if I'm investing my attention in future tripping, if I'm investing my attention in the past or how mad I am at you because you did A, B, and C, then that is the sum total of my life. Whereas when I invest my attention in that I am the unique, unrepeatable way that life shows up, and that I am actually co-creating my life, and I invest my attention in creating the life that I want to live, creating the health and the wholeness, creating those relationships, creating that physical ease and grace. When I invest my attention in that, the dividends that I reap on a daily basis totally outweigh the original investment. Ernest Holmes also says, you are to find the root of your life in pure spirit. In other words, you are rooted in pure spirit. You are the offshoot of pure spirit. You are one with pure spirit. That's that first line. It says, lose your sense of being separate from your good, and you will find that you are united with it. You are not separate from your good. Your good is already present. The thing is that you've been looking elsewhere and paying attention elsewhere. It's time for a tune-up. It's time for that spiritual maintenance. It's time. It's time, beloveds. It's interesting because just the other day, my car told me that I'm going to need service in 496 miles. In 496 miles, I'm going to need service. This is what Sunday is about. Sunday is about reminding us, seeing a practitioner on a regular basis. It is that reminder that, hey, in just a few more miles, you're going to need a tune-up. Hey, remember the tune-up. And I love what Meister Eckhart says. He says, be willing to be a beginner every single morning. As I am a beginner every single morning, we get 24 hours, 23 hours. We never know when is that time we're going to shed this body and be in our pure spirit self. But each and every day that we get to wake up, we've got a new day ahead of us in which we can remind ourselves. We can be in our spiritual practice like we were this morning, in prayer, in meditation, in blessing of the day, in just like we have been again this morning, in gratitude. And then also in our generosity, in our sacred giving, because we've been receiving. It's very interesting to notice that our Sunday format is actually like a plan for our daily living, that when we engage and use those things in this 1 hour of power, when we actually do that on a regular basis, that is our spiritual maintenance. You know, at Centers for Spiritual Living, we see a world where each and every person lives in alignment with their highest spiritual principle. And they recognize that they're one with this one power, one presence, one life. And not only that they're connected and realigned and in alignment with their highest spiritual principle and the highest and utmost indwelling spirit, but that we are also connected to one another. And when I think about our relationships and how we are connected to one another, I can't help but think about how important it is to simply be honest with where we are currently. And so I'm going to lift up the work of our practitioners and ministers right now. These folks who have had 4, 6, and 8 years of training to become practitioners and ministers, to recognize the spiritual truth about you. And that when we set up sessions with our ministers and practitioners, that in those sessions, we're able to come and sit before them either via Zoom, via telephone, or in person. And we're able to be honest and say, here are the areas where I am still struggling. Here are the areas where I am still not the happiest. This is what I'd like to experience and see instead. And through a series of questions and through a series of just dialogue back and forth with practitioners and ministers, in that session, we're able to uncover a hidden belief. And that hidden belief is attached to a behavior. So a belief and a behavior that is actually destructive, that is actually no longer serving you, that is not for your highest and best, that there are these hidden beliefs that are attached to behaviors that actually show where there is the possibility that you're still believing in separation, that you are separate from your good. And in these sessions with practitioners and ministers, that discovery and uncovering the hidden beliefs and discovering, whoa, how did that get there? And it doesn't really matter, because in that session, Zoom, because of the training, our practitioners and ministers can get to that place where we uncover that hidden belief, and you discover that this hidden belief has been acting as a law in your life and has been keeping you from your good, that you've been believing and behaving that you're separate from your health and wholeness, from your peace, from the love, from the connection, from your abundance, that you are separate from your good. And the discovery of that hidden belief that is attached to those behaviors, the light gets shined on it so much that it's just like, there it is, and it's time to take it out. There's that tune-up, right? Isn't it time for a tune-up, beloveds? Isn't it time for some spiritual maintenance? Isn't it time? Boom, there it is. And through some spiritual practice, through using affirmations, through recognizing the truth of yourself, that idea of separation begins to dissolve into the nothingness from which it came. And new behaviors are now in place, behaviors that are in alignment with God and I are one, which is the third quadrant of our spiritual evolution, of our spiritual maturity, until we get to that place where there is even no separation. God as me. God as me. You as God. Where we begin to see and have the relationships and recognizing that it is all the unique and unrepeatable way that God shows up. So if you're here today, within the sound of my voice, if you're watching this, if you're present and fully present, and if you are ready to be totally honest with yourself, you already know that you need a spiritual tune-up, beloved. That the spiritual tune-up is at hand and that we are here for you. So start here. Today, I realign with spiritual truth. Today, I realign with spiritual truth. Today, I realign with spiritual truth. And as we continue to take this affirmation and be with it, we will begin to seek out that spiritual tune-up. We will begin to practice that spiritual tune-up and recognizing that our life is the life of God. It is so, and so it is. Know that you are loved. Thank you.